There we go.
Excellent. All right, kids. Have a great day.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
It's just gonna be the two of us then. This is gonna be
Hey, send
this
it.
will be fun and interesting.
Yeah, I'm here to learn, man. So,
All right. Well, they have me teaching growing the database. So I'm going to go over some tips and tricks for not only what Gary says what you should do to grow your database, but also what's grown my database to 17,623 people as of this morning.
God damn,
So
I thought I had a lot.
what's that?
I said I thought I had a lot.
No, I got a ton. All right. So section 6, grow the database. If you don't have it already, scan that QR code or type in that website for the workbook. Do you already have the workbook?
Yep.
Okay. Skip past that. All right. So today's agenda, they have me going over the smart data bank, building your database, feeding your database, communicating with your database, servicing your database, recaps and ahas, and then a daily success system. So let's jump into it. So Gary Keller in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book said, your database is your business. Building up the number of names in it and a relationship with those names is really the very core of what building a real estate business is all about. And, Tim and I have actually had these types of discussions quite a bit about, know your numbers. How many people do you need to talk to in order to get a deal? And there's some people out there that will say, hey, I got to talk to, 50 people to get one appointment. And for every 2 appointments I go on, I get a listing or a buyer. And for every 2 buyers I'll get a closed deal. So you extrapolate that out and you're like, oh my God, I got to call 600 people to get a deal, And Tim and I will joke sometimes, like I'll joke with him, hey, if I want to sell 50 houses next year, technically, I only need to talk to 50 people. They just better be the right people. But obviously, the more people you talk to, the better chance you're going to have of finding the right people. And like I said, I'll get into some tips and tricks there, but here, let's go on. So database defined, which part of the lead generation and database model represents your database? So up at number 1, we got our lead capture, where we're prospecting and marketing for new people. Number 2, we're getting the leads, transforming the leads, building relationships with them to create them into contacts, to strengthen existing relationships. Into number 3, cultivate contacts for conversion. And then number 4, keep hitting those new and repeat clients to get referrals, get more business, those types of things. So how long have you been an agent?
Technically 3 months pretty much today. So,
Okay, cool. So what are some things you're currently doing to capture new leads? What are you currently doing to prospect or market to new leads?
yeah, it's a good question. A lot of social media stuff. That's really that networking, any kind of opportunity I get with like my kids, like whether it's, I don't know, some people frown upon it, but I feel like if I've been given a list of people's contacts, like, and it doesn't say I can't use it, why would I not?
Yeah.
I guess it's so like I have 100 people that I never would have met through my kids' school, plus their soccer teams. Like, I'm also, I think Candace just hopped in. Candace and we were at the same orientation as well, but a lot of just combing back through my old connections, whether it was bars and restaurants or business owners that I may not have had their contact info, and just going back and letting them know that, like, hey, I've transitioned out of alcohol and now I'm into, well, not entirely, but now I'm into real estate, and just kind of trying to get in front of people and just make sure I follow up whenever there's an opportunity.
Good, good. And Candace, what about you? Are you there as well?
Thought she was. I saw her name pop in.
Yeah, no, I can see her there. I just don't know if she's listening in or maybe not at the computer.
Yeah.
So one thing, and again, maybe this is just part of my own bias. I was very fortunate in my first year in real estate that I got 8 deals from my sphere. So 8 people that within that first year trusted me as a real estate agent to use me. But what I noticed my first year is I actually had a lot of friends and family not use me. And so what I recognized from that was, in your case, if you're in alcohol sales before or something like that, they're going to remember you from that. They're going to be like, oh, that's great that Jeff's getting into real estate. he's still new, he's still learning. So if I need to buy or sell, I might use somebody else because Jeff is still the alcohol salesman or whatever. Like when I was doing car sales, same thing happened to me all the time. Oh, Marcus is the Subaru guy. He's the Subaru guy. And when it like, I'll never forget, uh, my wife's aunt and uncle, the first year I got into real estate, I was probably about 6 months in. We're at a Christmas party. I see them at least 3, 4 times a year for the last decade up until that point. And hey, Marcus, we're really excited. We're buying a house up in your neck of the woods in Alton. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, we know you're a real estate agent, so we thought we'd share that with you. Yeah, awesome. That's great that you didn't use me to purchase the home. Like, so you knew I was a real estate agent. You've known me for over a decade. We see each other all the time. You're now essentially part of my extended family. Um, and they weren't using me. And even then, at that Christmas gathering, it was, hey, can we get your opinion on this? Can we get your opinion on that? Can we get? And I'm like, I can't help you. You have an agent. Um, and there was definitely those times I wanted to kind of take those shots at them. My daughter was there. She was probably like 5 at the time, and I wanted to be like, hey, tell Aunt Donnie and Aunt Maureen, Uncle Donnie and Aunt Maureen about how you can't go to Disney this year because they're buying a house and didn't use me. You know, like just kind of, I didn't actually say that, but I mean, I did say it to my wife, but um, so I do find that a lot of times that first year, people are still, hey, is Marcus really going to do this? Is he good at this? I don't know yet. So ironically, I had a lot of good experience my first year with dealing with what we call the unmets, people that we don't know. You know what I mean? Because those people don't know your experience. They don't know how many sales you've had. Um, they need help and you're somebody that can help them. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think I've been kind of lucky, like to your point, like I actually have had a lot of people who are going to work with me. They're just like, for
Yep.
whatever reason, they're just like dragging their feet and it's like just the timing isn't right yet. But
Yep.
like I've got 2 or 3 people in for pre-qualification. They just haven't gone through the process yet. Probably have a listing, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a listing in a month or so. And then
Awesome.
I have a couple referrals in the works and I have a couple people moving up Q1. So it's like kind of
It's
same thing
awesome.
to do. Like I'm kind of lucky that I have had a lot of action coming out of my smear right out
Yep.
front, but to your point, like, yeah, it's like everybody still thinks of me kind of as like the beer guy, the alcohol guy.
Right. Yeah. It's hard it'll take a few years to break certain people of that, but eventually they will break of that and then think of you as the real estate agent.
Yep.
Um, So for me, lead capturing my first year, what that looked like a lot for me, I didn't, when I got into real estate, I didn't have a lot of money saved. I thought I was going to hit the ground running. So I didn't have money to spend on advertising or anything like that. And so what I typically did my first year for lead capture was open houses. I held as many open houses as I could. I tried to do at least one a week. So that way I could meet new buyers, find unrepresented buyers, start a conversation with them, get them to use me, that type of thing. So my first year, I did 36 open houses and just added all of those people that came to the open houses into my database. I remember one day in particular on a Saturday, I did 3 open houses in one day. Uh,
Wow.
did, I did the first one from 9 to 11, traveled from 11 to 12 to the next one, had the next one from 12 to 2, traveled from 2 to 3 to the next one, and had that one from 3 to 5.
How
And
did
oh, God.
how did you get that many open house? Like, were you just reaching out to agents like, hey, does anybody need an open house covered?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
There are so many agents out there that if you said, I want to host an open house for you, like me, if you were to call me, I think 12 active listings right now. If you said, Marcus, I want to hold an open house, I would say, Jeff, I have these 12 properties. Pick one. Which one do you want to do it on? Tell me when and where, and I'll set it up with my client. Clients always love open houses. It makes them feel like you're actively getting them buyers for their property. You're actively trying to sell their house. So yeah, I would just form relationships with agents around the market center and then just ask them, hey, can I hold an open house for you? Or, hey, I noticed you had a new open house, a new property listed this week. Can I do an open house on it this weekend? A lot of times, me personally, when I list a new property, I'll go into the Facebook group and I'll say, hey, here's a new listing. We're doing an open house this Saturday. If any agents would like to come and join me and take all the buyer leads, have at, I'll mentor you. I'll show you a little bit. Then you can have all the leads at the end. Because me personally, I don't work a lot of buyers. Um, but Melissa Lesniak, stuff like that, she'll do the same thing. Hey, reach out to her, pick a property and she'll let you do an open house on it. But there's a lot of agents out there like that. So just form those relationships with people and then just ask, and they're probably going to say yes. But yeah, I mean, just doing as many open houses as I could to meet new people. Another thing I did my first year, again, because I didn't have any money to put into marketing, I would go and door knock people's neighborhoods. And usually what I would do is I would volunteer myself for an open house and then, have that open house on a Saturday. Thursday or Friday, go around door knocking that neighborhood, just letting them know, hey, we're having an open house this weekend. Here's a flyer about it, blah, blah, blah. And it makes, having that conversation with them a little bit easier. And usually people in the neighborhood are going to want to know, oh my gosh, that property just went up for sale for way more than I would have thought. How does that impact my value? And so now it creates a conversation with you of like, hey, that property got listed for $600,000. How does that impact this, my property? Let's have a conversation around that. And it kind of opens the doors to that. Also, when I was walking around door knocking, anytime I had a conversation with somebody, which was pretty frequent because people are home, they're very friendly when you knock on their door typically. But if I had a good conversation with somebody, I got their name at the door and I know the address because I can see it on the door. I can see it on the mailbox. I know what road I'm on. I'd keep a little notebook in my pocket or even type it into my phone, their name and their address. And the next day I would send them a thank you card, just, hey, it was great meeting with you the other day. If you ever have any questions, here's my business card, blah, 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 blah. Just a nice little personal touch to kind of keep that relationship going. So anyway, capturing leads, getting leads and contacts, cultivating them into conversion, and then creating additional business from that. I'd have to go and look right now, but I have 6 deals under contract right now. I believe 4 of them are some sort of referral, whether it's a referral from a past client coming back to me, a referral from another agent. Repeat and referral business is huge once you start really getting a lot of deals and cultivating those people and staying in touch with those people to keep them coming back to you. They see the value in you, so they want to keep coming back to you.
Yep.
So the 4 laws of a database: number 1, build a database. Number 2, feed the database. 3, communicate it with it systematically. And then 4, service those. And like I said, I'm going to give you steps along the way of how I do each of these literally every day to keep building my business. So number 1, building the database. At a minimum, each contact should have a name, the contact information, and past business record, and really any information you can have about the person. I mean, I'll add in their kids' names if I know them. I'll add in birth dates if I know them. Like I'll add in any information I can to be a salesperson and keep moving that conversation forward. So number 1 is kind of organizing how, what information are you going to collect every time? Are you going to get a phone number? Are you going to get an email address? What about their mailing address? Tim will tell you I'm the mailer guy. I mail a ton of mailers. So I need to have a good mailing address for somebody so that I can send them messages in the mail. Again, we'll get into that a little bit later, but what information do you want? How much information do you want? And then are you adding it into your database? Or, I know a lot of people, I know one agent in particular, a very, very good agent in our area. He interviewed for my team probably about 8 or 9 years ago. This is a guy selling 30, 40 houses a year. And he had a notebook with him. And I'm like, oh, what's the notebook? And he's like, it's all my people I'm working with. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, when I get a new lead, I write them into the notebook. I write down their name, their phone number, their email address, what they're looking for, that type of thing. And I keep them in this notebook. And I was like, you sell 30 to 40 houses every year and you just keep everybody in a notebook. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what would happen if you lost that notebook? What would happen if, it was in your house and your house, God forbid, burned down? And he was like, all my business would be gone. And I'm like, that doesn't scare the crap out of you? Like, that doesn't scare you thinking like your entire business, your years of working could be just gone in an instant if you put your notebook down in this interview and went to the bathroom and I just took it and then pretended I didn't know where it went, like your whole business would be gone. Keep it someplace secure, keep it someplace where you can't physically lose it. Keep it in a cloud, keep it on a computer. If you're going to keep it on a hard drive, make sure you back it up somewhere, those types of things. Because, me speaking from experience, my first 2 years in real estate, I had an email address. And then after 2 years into real estate, I started a team. So I started a new email address. Quite frankly, I forgot about that first email address and I stopped maintaining it. Eventually I stopped paying for it. So now I don't have that email address anymore. And I ask myself now, how many of my clients in my first 2 years are probably trying to reach out to me and can't get in touch with me because they no longer have my good email address? You know what I mean? So think about some of those things when you are, working to build your database. So building a database in Command, obviously you're going to enter all the details in for all the contact. They're going to give you that health score at the top. The more information you have in there, the better the health score. I would say at a minimum, name, phone number, email address. If you can get mailing address, even better. Any other contact info, great. But at a minimum, try to get those three. And then again, there is a way through the Command app to import everybody in your phone into your database. So I don't know about you guys, but let me see. In my phone right now, let me go to the very bottom. I have 1,374 contacts saved in my phone right now. So 1,374 people I could potentially market to. And what's interesting about that, and Tim talks about this a lot, but people on average stay in their home for about 10 years now. So that means 1 out of every 10 people is going to buy or sell a home this year on average. So if I have 1,374 contacts in my phone, that's roughly 137 people that will buy or sell a home this year. Now, I can tell you as a real estate agent, if I sell 137 homes in 1 year, that's a really, 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 really good year. Like a very, like an insane year, especially for one person. But that goes back to how well are you maintaining the database? How well are you talking to them? Are they thinking of you when it comes time to buy or sell a house? Or is it, are they people that you just think will think of you when the time comes? You know what I mean? I had a friend 2 years ago. This is a friend of my wife's, but a friend of mine as well. But she, probably about a decade ago, went through a divorce, ended up living with us for probably about 9 months because she had nowhere to go. She just got divorced, couldn't afford an apartment, was really down in her luck. We told her she could live with us for a little bit. So this is somebody that lived with us for 9 months. And 2 years ago, she ended up buying a house and it was not with me, And this is somebody that the weekend that she went under contract on it, she was over our house. And she even said to me, Marcus, don't get mad at me. I went under contract on buying a house this weekend. And I'm like, what? Christy, I didn't even know you were looking for a house. And she was like, honestly, I wasn't. I was looking for a rental and I was on Zillow and I thought the house was for rent. And I clicked some buttons and, next thing I know, I'm getting contacted by real estate agents that want to show me a house to buy. She's like, and I didn't know what to do. I went and saw the house. I liked it. I didn't have financing set up, but the guy I talked to was like, here's my lender. And next thing I know, I'm buying a house. It wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened. And those types of things are going to happen. I thought she's definitely going to come to me when the time comes to buy or sell a house because we've helped her out. She's really good friends with me and my wife. She's going to think of me. And she didn't. I mean, she kind of did, but I wasn't involved soon enough, basically. So finding those ways to get involved soon enough with your friends, your family, staying in front of them. Tim also talks about how when you first get into real estate, it takes a minimum of 9 times for someone to hear that you're a real estate agent for them to remember that you're a real estate agent. So when I was a brand new agent, it was, how quickly can I get to those 9 times so my friends and family know I'm a real estate agent now? How quickly can I tell them that without coming off as annoying, And so, quite frankly, I did use social media a lot my first year. And what I would do was, if I put anything real estate related, I posted, right? So if I put somebody under contract, that was a post. When I'm doing the home inspection, that was another post. When we were at the appraisal, that was another post. When we were at the final walkthrough, that was another post. at the closing table, that was another post. And when people are seeing those posts from me, they don't realize that the under contract one is the same as the inspection one, the same as the appraisal one, the same as the final walkthrough and the closing one. And all people think is, my God, Marcus just sold 5 houses. And it's like, well, no, I sold one, but I posted about it several times that gave the illusion of me selling a lot of houses. So quite frankly, one of those 8 people my first year, a former coworker of mine reached out and she was like, Marcus, you're killing it in real estate. My mom needs to sell her house. Can you help her with it? And at that point in my career, I'd only sold 4 houses. I don't know that I would have considered that killing it. But in her vision, that's what she saw. That's her perception of me. And that's why they wanted to hire me to help them sell their mom's house. So think about that. What is your perception to your friends and family? You know, again, a showing, take a picture while you're at the, hey, look at this cool thing I saw the showing today and post it. You know what I mean? Any accolades you get, you know, later this week, I got a post about how I was number 4 in all of New England for individual teams for listings taken last month. So, you know, that needs to be a social media post that people remember. Oh, Marcus helps me sell properties, you know, that type of thing. So law number 2, feed it every day. So what are some things you guys can be doing to feed your database every day? How can you get new people into your database every day? Anybody? Candace, Don, are you guys there?
I am here. I'm so sorry. I was trying to jump in, but I was on a phone call and
Oh, no problem.
I couldn't get in. I just hung up the phone finally. It took way longer than I was anticipating, and I
No problem.
apologize.
No,
But
not at
yes,
all.
I'm here.
Yeah, not at all. So what are some ways that you guys are doing to feed your database every day?
Well, yeah.
I've been trying to connect with people at work. I work in a restaurant. I bartend and serve, so I come in contact with a lot of people. And I've been trying to have the 10 conversations a day with people and do that. I've been passing out business cards. I've been trying to talk to everybody I can about real estate. Yeah, I've been trying.
And I
Sure,
think
there's
that's,
more I could be
I was
doing,
gonna say,
but
I
I'm
think that's
trying.
important. I think that's important to point out too, is whatever you're doing for lead generation to fill your database every day, it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else, right? So I used to have a member of my team who did exactly that, Candace, and she would tell me my lead generation every day is every day for lunch, I go to a local bar and I sit down at the bar to have my lunch. And she's like, and I won't leave that bar until I pass out 20 business cards, until I have 20 conversations with people and pass out 20 business cards. And that's my lead generation every day. And, you know, for somebody like me, I would absolutely hate doing that. That I would despise doing that. That's not my thing. I wouldn't want to do that, but she did it because she enjoys it. And she did, you know, it worked out really, really well for her. And again, I'll give you a sense into what I do to feed my database every day here in a second. But it's important to point out that um, you know, what you do or what you enjoy doing, uh, that's what's going to help you build your business the fastest. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah,
you're doing a lead generation that you don't enjoy, you're not going to do it consistently and you're not going to do it for very long. So do what you enjoy and then track it to make sure that you're getting the results you expect, right?
yeah. Okay.
Uh,
I have a lot of people at my disposal every day in the restaurant, so I'm trying to harness that.
Absolutely. Good. Don, what about you? I saw you starting to jump in there.
Yeah, well, part of it's difficult because you actually have to get out of the house. You have to go out and actually be around people. I'm by nature an introvert, so that can be a challenging thing for me. But I have a volunteer opportunity coming up this Saturday. I'm going to be helping at a special needs field game,
Mhm.
helping with the raffle table, and I have some magazines, you know, promotional magazines and stuff, and I'll bring some of those for some of the side conversations that I have with the guardians or the parents of the people with special needs. So you just got to look for opportunities to get out there. And I I had taken care of my sister and I took her to Buddy Ball last year,
Yep.
and she had forgotten her hat. So I had my Keller Williams baseball cap that
Yep.
I had my sister wear. So that people are like, "Oh, where'd this hat come from?" And I said, you know, so it started a conversation. So we just got to look for ways to get those conversations going out there.
And I think that's a good transition into what I was going to get into, because you said something that I think is a little bit of a limiting belief. And you said you have to find ways to get out there and meet people, right?
Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, I don't know that that's 100% true. I'm very much what we call an ambivert, which is somebody who, if I'm in a situation that's comfortable to me, I'll
Yeah.
talk your ear off. This is a very comfortable situation for me because I've taught many classes here. I'm very knowledgeable about real estate. I'm very comfortable, so I'm going to talk your ear off. But if it's a situation where I'm not comfortable, if I'm around people I don't know, I'm the quietest person you'd ever know. And it's night and day difference for a lot of people when they see me, because they're like, my God, 1 minute you're talking my ear off, the next minute you're as quiet as can be. What's the difference? So I'm in a similar boat to you. I don't enjoy walking up to random people or talking to random people and trying to create a conversation. So
Right.
I mentioned it earlier. The thing that I do to create my business is I send out mailers. Mailers is my thing. I don't need to talk to anybody. I just make a visually appealing postcard or a nice looking letter, and then I have them printed, and then I mail them out. And then I sit back and people call me, right? So, I mean,
Can you
this,
give demo, like samples of the types of postcards or letters that you send?
yeah, absolutely. So, I'll get into that here in a second, but, so how do I explain it? So far this year, between my closed sales and my pending sales, I'm at a little over $16 million in volume for the year. Okay. So
Wow.
that's a pretty big business. And I have a one-on-one coach through Glover U, and it drives my coach, I think, a little crazy because every week I have to report to him my numbers. How many new people did I talk to? How many appointments did I go on? How many people did I put under contract? Those types of things. And my week with the most contacts, the most new people I talked to was 18 so far this year. That's the week I've talked to the most people, 18 people. That's 3 a day for 6 days. You know what I mean? I don't talk to a lot of new people because I send out marketing mailers that capture people's attention, over time tell a story to that person, and then they end up calling me and saying, okay, come list my house. And then I only have to talk to one person because they called me and said, come list my property. So for me, my feeding of the database every day, one place that I'm really, really good at is expired listings and for sale by owners. Every day there's new expired listings and new for sale by owners. So one of the things I do is I have a virtual assistant who's in the Trinidad. She every day she'll go and look at the list of the new for sale by owners and the new expireds. She'll find really, really good contact information for them, really good phone numbers, really good email addresses, really good physical addresses. And then she puts them into my CRM. And that's adding people to my database. So if there's 50 people that were expired or for sale by owner today, that's 50 new people into my database today. And when she puts them into my database, she'll turn on the email marketing. She'll turn on the text marketing. She'll turn on the mailer marketing, which I have another assistant that sends out my mailers to them. So, the messaging to them might be, the first postcard I have literally says, for expired, did you know your home is no longer on the market? There may be buyers looking for a home like yours right now. And that's meant to catch their attention. Oh my God, what do you mean my house isn't on the market? My agent didn't tell me my house is off the market. What's going on? Right? The second mailer might say something like, I list homes for as low as blank percent, right? So kind of showing them, hey, this is my fee. I have postcards that say things like, I guarantee a sale in 7 days or less, or I'll cut my commission. I have postcards that say things like, professional marketing done for you for free, because that's what we do. We do professional marketing included in our commission that we're charging. And so for me, I feed my database every day with expireds and for sale by owners, and I send them out consistent messages through my CRM for emails and texts, and then physical mailers to them too. So whether they want it or not, they're going to get my message from, my message. You know, a lot of people will call them over and over again, trying to get their message across to that person. But here's the thing, if I send you an email, you know, half of the people click on it and are probably going to read it. If I send you a text message, 98% of people open a text message. So they're going to open that text message, they're going to read it, and then maybe take action, maybe they don't. And number 3, the mailers. Maybe 90% of my mailers get taken out of the mailbox, looked at, and then right in the trash. I don't know. But I do know that some people read those messages, and I know they read them because I get phone calls of, hey, I got 3 of your mailers in the mail. I want you to come out and let's talk about this a little bit more. You know what I mean? But I think a big part of it as to getting results is the consistency of those things going out. The mailers go out every day. The text messages go out every day. The emails go out every day. If I'm not at the office for 3 or 4 days, my CRM is still going to send out those text messages and emails, and it's still going to alert me when people respond, right? So make sure when you're feeding it, you're also, well, actually, I guess we're getting way into the next topic, which is communicating with them. But anyway, Tom, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask, do your virtual assistants cross-reference with the do not call list?
They do. We have to. That being said, do not call list, we're not calling them anyway. So it only, that only applies to the text messages.
Okay.
You can still email them. You can still send mailers. I mean, we all get junk mail every day. It's
Yeah.
less than it used to be, but we all still get junk mail every day. So you can still do that.
Okay.
So oh, is somebody gonna say something? No. The value of your sphere will generate new, repeat, or referral business. I mean, I mentioned it probably about 10 or 20 minutes ago. I have 6 deals under contract right now, hopefully a 7th one that we put an offer on last night. Out of the 6 under contract, 4 of them were some sort of repeat or referral business. So make sure that even after you close somebody, you're staying in touch with them, you're showing value to them, you're staying top of mind with them, so that when they're ready to do that next transaction, or if they have a friend or family member, they think of you and tell their friend or family member about you. Testimonials and reviews. So this is something that I was very big on in the beginning. I still am, but when I first became a real estate agent, my first goal, besides selling houses, was to get to at least 10 reviews on Zillow. Because the more reviews you get, like I mean, you've seen it, we're very much a online shopping culture now, right? People go on Amazon and they shop for whatever they need, day or night. And I know, at least for me, the first thing I'm looking at besides price and the item is how many reviews does that thing have, and how many stars are they getting? Are they a 3-star or are they a 5-star? Do they have 100 reviews or do they have 100,000 reviews, right? The more reviews and the higher the score, the more apt that person is going to be to buy that product, right? And I find the same thing true about my service. I haven't been as diligent about it as I probably should be over the last few years. But if you go to my Zillow profile right now, I have 132 reviews on Zillow, and every one of those reviews is 5-star. So that makes people feel more confident in using me, because literally, as part of my listing presentation now, I say to people, like literally my script goes, don't take my word for it. I'm a salesperson. You should not believe everything I say, but go on Zillow. I have 132 reviews on Zillow. Every one of them is 5-star. So a couple things. Number one, I wouldn't have 132 reviews if I wasn't helping a lot of people. And number two, they wouldn't all be 5-star if I wasn't doing an amazing job for all of my clients. So again, don't take my word for it. Go read what my past clients have said about me. And I'll be honest with you, when you come off that confident and have that many reviews and that good of a review score, most people just go, hey, I'm going to take your word for it. Sounds like you do an amazing job. And most of them will just even though you're inviting them to read the reviews, they'll bypass right past it. But also, we talked about this too when I was talking about like Amazon and buying products on Amazon. I'll read the reviews. I'll see how many reviews are there before I buy the product. So keep in mind, people are doing the same thing to you with your reviews. People are researching you before they meet with you to decide if they're going to use you or not. You know what I mean? So even when I meet with people and I tell them about my reviews on Zillow, a lot of times I hear from people, no, yeah, we know about your reviews. We've already looked at them. Because people are researching you before they're inviting you into their home, right? So keep that in mind. A lot of reviews and having really high score reviews is very, very powerful in our society right now. So that's one thing I would really stress to you guys is keep every transaction you do, ask for a review, and don't ask for it once, ask for it multiple times. Ask when you get under contract. You know, when somebody gets under contract, they are excited, they're pumped, they're very, very happy with you. They're probably going to leave you a great review, right? The second time, you know, towards the end of the transaction, hey, we're a week away from closing. I'd really love for you to leave me a review. You know, tell everybody about what your experience has been like. It really helps me get future business. Number 3, asking them at the closing table. You know, I used to always take a picture with my clients, get their permission to post that picture on social media. And then I would tell them too, hey, if you could really, and I usually worded it this way. It really helps me out if you leave me a review on my Zillow profile or my Google profile for other people to see what an amazing experience you had. Do you mind writing me a review sometime in the next week? And most people at that closing table are like, sure, no problem, you know, blah, 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 whatever. You know, 3 to 5 days after that closing, I'm usually reaching out again via an email. Just, you know, hey, Jeff, it was great working with you. I appreciate you selecting me to be your real estate agent. I'm honored. I'm glad that everything went smoothly and that you're on to your next thing. By the way, here's a link to leave me a review on Zillow. If you would leave me a review, I would really appreciate it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then usually a week or 2 after closing, I'm writing them a handwritten letter, like a little note card that just says, you know, again, hey, Jeff, thanks again for using me. I noticed you still haven't left a review yet. Again, it would really help me out if you could leave me a review, you know, blah, 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 whatever. And then usually 2 weeks after closing, I'm calling them again, just following up with them. Hey, how did the move go? I'm glad everything got in okay. That's awesome. I'm glad you're loving the house. Hopefully you're settled in by now. You know, by the way, and this is something I learned from Glover too about closing the file. By the way, I can't close your file until I have a review from you. Do you mind leaving me a review on Zillow or Google so that way I can close my file with my office? Oh yeah, sorry about that, Marcus. I'll get that review in so you can close the file. Like they don't realize that we actually need that to close the file, but if you embed that into them, if you tell them that's what you need in order to close the file, they're going to do it. They're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I haven't gotten around to it, you know? So again, just asking for that review over and over and over again until you get it so that you can kind of build up those reviews, build up that positive, you know, profile for other people. So testimonies and review activity. What areas of business or customer service could you ask someone to provide you a testimonial review on? So responsiveness, attention to detail, professionalism, empathy, clear communication, those types of things. Again, I haven't done it in a while, but one of the things that I used to do is actually when I would email them the link and everything and asking for a review, I would provide them with sample reviews so that they could just copy and paste that and put their name in instead of the other person's. You know what I mean? It kind of gives them a template for, hey, here's how we should write the review so it sounds good. You know what I mean? And people like that because it makes it easy for them. Again, they can just copy and paste it and leave me a review. So what are some ahas so far?
I think-
I don't have to get out and talk to a million people every week. I can come up with other ways of reaching people to secure business or just to get the contacts.
Yeah, and again, touching on that real quick, Jeff Glover, when he teaches us, he kind of teaches us there's 3 ways to get business in real estate. One is personality-based real estate, which means kind of like what Candace was doing, going around to the restaurant, talking to as many people as possible, making connections with people, doing things that way. Now, Jeff does kind of caveat that by saying, in a personality-based business, you're somewhat limited because you can only talk to so many people in a day, right? One-to-one person, that type of thing.
Mhm.
The next one is prospecting-based business. So a prospecting based business is somebody who, you know, makes phone call after phone call after phone call all day long. Maybe they're calling expireds all day long, calling for sale by owners all day long, making hundreds of calls a day just to find that one or two people that say yes to them. That's a prospecting based business, which is somebody who's actively just calling. For me, I run a marketing based business where, again, I can just mail out my mailers. Thousands of people get them every month. On average, we do about 20 to 22,000 mailers a month. So we send out a lot of mailers, but that creates a lot of people calling into me with, hey, I got your mailer. You know, this looks good. I like the messaging. I like your commission rate. I like the marketing that you do, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it causes people to reach out to me, which is what I prefer. Because again, too, for a marketing-based business, I can control how many people are going to call me to a point. If I'm really, really busy in my business, if I have a ton of listings and a ton of people under contract and whatever, hey, maybe I don't mail any mailers this week because I don't need any new business. Maybe my business is really slow. So instead of mailing out my normal amount of mailers, maybe I send out twice as many mailers because I know that for every mailer that I mail out, 1.5% of people will call back. So I know 100 mailers out, I'll get 1.5 phone calls. So
Who does
how
your
many mailers do
mailers?
I? What's that?
How do you do your mailers? Where do you get them from? Do you get them through the marketing suite, or do you have a different resource for them? Because I was going to look into that, but I don't know really where to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well. There's a lot of do's and don'ts when it comes to mailers. Me personally, my previous job when I worked at the car dealership was digital marketing and branding. So I graphic designed all of my own postcards and then found a company to print them for me. So then I have them print them for me in bulk, have them shipped to me, and then I mail them out as needed. Letters I print off as needed, and I have a machine that will actually take the letter, fold the letter, stuff it into an envelope, and seal it for me at a rate of 3,000 an hour.
Wow.
Because again, I'm really, really big into mailers and I do a ton of them. So I need machines and automation to help me do the volume that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you go to any website out there that, you know, just Google real estate postcards and you'll find websites out there that already have designs made and you can just slap your face on them, put your phone number and your name on them, and then just mail them out. Just keep in
What
mind,
kind of other info do you have on your mailers? Is it just your contact info and the brokerage, or do you do like that fun kitschy stuff about like community stuff and you know, I don't know, it's in things of the day and stuff? Do you, or you just keep it strictly real estate?
it depends on my message that I'm sending to it. Like it depends on who I'm targeting, because that's the other point too here that we're going to get into with communication. Oh,
That was gonna be like my question. Like, how do you choose where you're sending it?
well, that's just it. You again, going back to what we talked about before, you have to kind of pick your audience. What is your audience going to be? And then what is your message to them? And obviously this gets more into like marketing and branding, but like I said, that's something I did in my previous career. So it's really helped me out. But um, like any one of you, throw me out an idea. Who do you want to target with mailers? Like what type of person?
People in my neighborhood, people in my I know somebody the last class there mentioned that too. You're to think about you don't want to you don't have to work with everybody. You have to pick who you want to work with and target your market audience. That was the last Ignite message. So I feel like that comes down to, you know, it's like at work. I don't give my business card to everybody. I only give it to the people that I would want to work with.
Yep. Yep. So let's put it this way. If you're working with your neighborhood, if you want to focus on your neighborhood and you want to farm your neighborhood, you probably don't want to make everything real estate related, because you got to remember too, roughly how many homes are in your neighborhood?
A lot. I mean, I live in Kittery, so I have, you know, there was two houses. There was actually four houses for sale on my street this year. And I
Yep.
know that there's like 31 to said 34, something like that, active listings in Kittery right now. And there's just a lot for they said there's a lot in my neighborhood for it. But I just recently got some door hangers and I
Mhm.
got them cleared with compliance, put my business card in the door hanger, and I picked like a really bright color pink. And they
Yep.
say, I'm not only just your neighbor, I'm also a real estate agent. You know, I know the area, market info. If you're wondering what your house is worth in this area, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I just got those in the mail and I got 50 of them. So I was going to go out this week and at least start there
Yep.
and try to target my immediate neighborhood, Kittery Point,
Yep.
as a starting point, just because I feel like there's been some hot activity in my neighborhood lately.
Yep. Yeah, that's what you do want to look for when you are trying to pick a place to farm. You want to find an area that is turning over relatively frequently. You want
Okay.
an area that, you know, if your neighborhood is 200 houses, you want to make sure that the turnover is at least 5 to 7% for the year, right? But
Does the
the reason
MLS
why,
track that info?
what's that?
How do I get that info?
You can just go into MLS and you can search it. I mean, you just, like you just said, there's 4 houses on your road on the market right now. You know what I mean? So just
They're down to 2 of them sold. There's 2 left.
Right. So you're going to track things like that. How many houses are selling in that neighborhood, and how many houses are you targeting? Is it 100 houses? Is it 200? Is it 500? Is it 1,000? I mean, I just mentioned it, but in an average month for me, I'm sending out 20 to 22,000 mailers. Like that's a
That's a
lot
lot.
of
That's
mailers.
impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of people. So, but I got to make sure that it's valuable for me, right? So like what I mean by that is, if you're just doing a neighborhood farm, which is what you just discussed, my mom's a great example. If my mom was in your neighborhood, my mom has lived in her house now for 52 years. Okay. So anybody that was doing a farm to my mom and sending my mom a mailer, they would have sent my mom mailers for 52 years without any sort of even chance of making money off of her. Right. So you got to find those neighborhoods that turn over. You don't want to pick a neighborhood just because you live in it. You want to pick a neighborhood that has houses going up for sale, has homes selling, and that ratio makes sense. Because, you know, again, if you're mailing to my mom, I mean, on average, a mailer costs $1. So let's say it costs $1 a mailer, and you mail them every month. That's $12 a year. $12 times 52 years to my mom. If somebody did that, they would have spent $600 advertising to my mom for nothing. They wouldn't have got not a single piece of business. So
yeah,
when it comes to neighborhoods, you typically want it to be a little bit of real estate, a little bit of community, a little bit like you can even mail to your neighborhood and say, hey guys, these 2 houses on our street just sold, and they both sold for $30,000 over asking. Curious what your home's value is worth? Give me a call. You know what I mean?
yeah, yep.
Things like that, because again, it triggers people's, wow, both of those homes sold for $30,000 over asking. Those places were terrible. They were falling apart. My house is way better. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what my house is worth. Those are selling for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the house across the street from me is on the market for $1.1 million right now.
Yep. Yeah. So just, I mean, just advertising things, like any content you can do to put out to those people. Like if it's across the street from you and you know there's an open house and you can watch from your window and count how many people go to the open house and report back to the neighborhood on that. Hey, there was an open house in our neighborhood this weekend and 36 people came to it. Now there can only be one buyer. So that means 35 other people are looking for homes in our neighborhood. Does anybody else here know of anybody looking to sell their home for these 35 other buyers?
That's good. Yeah.
Right. Those
Yep.
types of things create conversations. It makes people reach out to you. Right.
Yeah.
The way I do my farm, it's a long, complicated process, but the people that are in my farm are people that I know are going to sell in the next 6 to 12 months, because I don't want to spend money advertising to someone like my mom who's never going to move. So I only advertise to people that are moving in the next 6 to 12 months, and only people that have told me that they're going to sell their property in the next 6 to 12 months. And again, it's a way complicated process that I'm not going to get into here because it's part of my intellectual property too, that kind of gives me an advantage. But like there are ways you can do that to find people that are motivated and then just have conversations with those people that are motivated.
Can I ask a quick question? And then just for a sanity check. So I live over in the seacoast and I'm starting to basically, I'm on GIS and the MLS, and I'm pretty much looking at each individual neighborhood in the entire town. And I'm starting to give them all like health grades apart, like as far as like, all right, you know, this neighborhood, due to whatever I deem is a good neighborhood to farm, Like
Mhm.
I go in and look at all the statistics. I look at tax valuation, purchase price, how much I think equity think people have, like, and I start to grade it. And that's kind of like where I'm starting to target if I'm doing mailers.
Yeah. How are you figuring out how much equity they have?
I have some stuff that I can use. I don't know for sure, but I've got a couple programs that I have that'll pretty close.
I was gonna say that there's a few websites out there you can pay for that'll give you that info. I
Yeah,
just don't know if
so
you're
it's
calculating it yourself or not.
a little bit of both, but long story short, basically I'm trying to just develop, and I'm trying to do it over time, and I'm trying to map out pretty much every neighborhood that I would want to sell in my town, and then the outlying towns as well. And that's kind of how I'm going to target. Like as soon as I get a certain number, it's like bang, all right. Like I have a little, I would say CRM I built out to like kind of map it, but like as soon as that number hits a certain number, it like triggers me to look at it, and that's kind of where I'm like starting to target.
That's good. That's awesome. And it's important to note too, if you guys do get into mailers, you have to do a lot of mailers consistently over time. It's not, hey, I did 100 mailers, nobody called me, so I'm never doing this again. You know what I mean? That's not really how mailers work. You have to do it consistently. You have to build relationships with people. But it works. I mean, I have one lady that I closed on about a month ago, I think it was. Quite frankly, she got my mailer, got my mailer, got my mailer. 9 mailers in, she finally called me, and she was an expired listing, and she was like, "Okay, I'm ready to list my property. I've been getting all your mailers, and even though I haven't responded to all the other ones, I'm ready to list now, and I like everything you communicated to me in your mailers." And she listed with me, and it sold within a couple months. It was $1 million property. You know what I mean? It was a $30,000 commission. Well worth the amount of money I spent in mailers to her. You know what I mean? But again, mailers can get expensive, and it depending on the way you're mailing people, it can get a little crazy. Like, who here has heard of golden letters?
Me.
Okay. So I do golden letters. I do 16,000 golden letters a month. Okay.
What?
And I can tell you that of the 16,000 golden letters a month that I do, like I said before, I get a 1.5% response rate. So if I send out 16,000 golden letters in a month, I'll have 240 people reaching back out to me. I know those are my numbers. But
Hold on. So
yeah.
you do 16,000 golden letters a month?
Yes.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. Holy cow. All right.
Yeah, I do I do a lot of business.
No, I hear you. That's all. Yeah. Like, cause like, to be honest, like that's something I've started to do, not quite on that scale, but like, man,
It's
I
a
get
lot.
it. Okay. Yeah.
But I guess where I'm getting at with wait, and I got off topic on the golden letters. Oh,
Consistency. I think you were talking
a
about.
lot of people were doing golden letters about a year ago, and I won't obviously bash anybody, but there was an agent who kind of told people, hey, for every 300 golden letters you mail out, you'll get a listing, guaranteed. And I can tell you that those numbers sound good when you're presenting. Those numbers are not true, because I send out 16,000 a month and I know what the real numbers are. So for example, and this is not meant to discourage you guys. It's just meant to think about it like a business person. Last year, I think I sent out a total of about 150,000 golden letters. I know what my stats are from those. I know every 6,500 letters that I mail out will result in a listing today. So it's 6,500 letters to get one listing. So if we roll that back a little bit, what's the cost of a stamp? What's the cost of an envelope? What's the cost of the paper? What's the cost of your time to stuff the envelope, seal the envelope, slap a stamp on it, put their address on it, and put it in the mail, right? Well, a stamp is 72 cents. So let's just call all of that process, again, $1, just to make it easy. Using golden letters, you would have to spend about $6,500 in order to get one listing. Now, what's your average commission on a listing? Mine's actually pretty good. Mine's around $20,000, but the average for our market center is about $11,000 to $12,000. So let's just call it $12,000. So now you have to spend $6,500 in mailers to get a listing that might get you 12,000. But you still got to pay for photos. You still got to pay for marketing. You still have to service the listing. And there's still no guarantee that listing's going to sell, right? So you could have spent $6,500 to buy yourself a job that doesn't pay you anything because the property doesn't sell, right? So you got to start thinking of other ways as a business person to make it make sense. How can we lower our cost on our mailers? How can we target areas that are going to convert higher than 1 in every 6,500 letters? Things like that. Because without those, it's gonna be a mess. But anyway, continuing on to communicating systematically, like I said, I don't enjoy calling people. I can call people, and I did call people quite a bit in my career when I first started as a real estate agent, but it's not something I enjoy. And we talked about it in the beginning. If it's not something you enjoy, it's not something you're going to do consistently. So I've just accepted that phone calls or outgoing phone calls from me are not going to be part of my business. So how am I going to reach out to people? How am I going to communicate with them systematically? Well, it's going to be automatic emails through my CRM. It's going to be automatic text messages through my CRM, so that, a month from now, I'm going to be at a conference in Austin, Texas. Every day I'm at that conference, those emails are still going out. Those text messages are still going out. My mailers are still being done by my assistant, right? So I know, quote unquote, my lead generation is being done consistently every day without me being physically in the office picking up a phone, right? And again, you just got to find what works for you and what do you enjoy, and figure out your business around that, because once you figure out your business around that, you're going to love it way more, right? So just bouncing back up here, Gary Keller in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent said, to succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit to frequent contact with a database with the intent of building close relationships. So even in those words right there, what do you guys hear?
Close relationships.
What was that? Close relationships? Yeah.
Building close relationships. Yeah.
Well, it says with the intent of building close relationships. What are you doing to build those close relationships?
Yeah. Providing value and following up, staying present.
Right. So the big part there is providing value, right? One of the things I've recognized, as, again, I'm somebody who did marketing before this and still does a lot of marketing now for my business. How tailored are your messages to the people that you're reaching out to, right? If someone's buying a piece of land, you're going to talk to them way differently than the buyer that's buying a single family home to live in. And you're going to talk to that person way differently than an investor who wants to buy a multifamily property, right? So maybe your communication style with those types of people is different for each. Maybe it's not, hey, Candace, I noticed you were looking at a piece of land. I'd love to talk to you more about it. It's very generic-y. Hey, Candace, I'd love to talk to you about the single family home you'd like to buy. Hey, Candace, I'd love to talk to you about the multifamily you're looking to buy. Those are all very generic ways of checking in with somebody. I used to have an agent on my team that, it's like 8 years ago. She would get a Zillow lead and she'd call them, and, she'd come to me after like a month and she'd be like, Marcus, all these leads are junk. I can't convert any of them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, when you call them, what are you saying to them? She's like, well, I get a voicemail. And I'm like, that's fine. What are you saying in the voicemail? She's like, I say something like, hey, Don, I got your lead on Zillow. I'd love to talk to you more about it. Please give me a call back. I'm like, okay. And when you call them the next day, what do you say to them? She's like, well, I get a voicemail again, and I usually say, hey, Don, I got your lead through Zillow. I just want to check in with you and see what questions I could help answer. And I'm like, okay. And the third day, what do you say? And it was the same thing. And the fourth day was the same. And her name was Patricia. And I was like, Patricia, you got to understand, if the message you left the first day did not result in a phone call back to you, that message did not resonate with that potential client. So your message the next day needs to be different so that maybe it does resonate with them and they do call you. Because if it's the same message every day, well, if they didn't call you the first time, they're not calling you the 20th time. So if you're wondering why you're not converting, it's because the message you're leaving is too generic. It's not enticing them to call. You know, my first message might have been just like yours, you know, hey, Don, I got your lead through Zillow. Love to talk to you about the property. My message the next day might be something like, hey, Don, I found some crazy information about that property you were looking at yesterday. I would love to share it with you. Please give me a call back so I can share that information with you. And that crazy information may have been, hey, I got the property disclosures. Do you want a copy? You know, you don't have to, you're trying to get them to call you back. It can be, you know, just things like that. Anything that creates urgency. Hey, I was talking to the listing agent in that property and saw something amazing. Or, hey, that property you were looking at, I was driving through that neighborhood today and I saw something really unique that I want to share with you. And maybe that unique thing was there's another house up for sale on that same road. You know what I mean? But your message is different each day, creating them to call you back. So you got to think about, how are you building that close relationship? What is your verbiage that you're using in it? What is your script? And if the script isn't working, making sure you're using a different one every day. So essentially for me, what I did my first year was I came up with 31 different scripts of ways to check in with the buyer. And I would literally label them 1 to 31. And if today was, today's the 15th, I'd go to the 15th one, and whatever that script said on the 15th, that's the script I left everybody on their voicemail for that day. Because I knew that voicemail was going to be different than tomorrow, because tomorrow's the 16th, and the 16th script is going to be different. And because I was leaving the same message each day on people's phone numbers, it did not come off as if I was reading it. It came off as if I had practiced it a bunch, and I was very fluid and very conversational, a little more casual, which allowed them to call me back. Those types of things. So let's talk about segmenting your database. You know, obviously they give some examples here: VIP, golf, military, investor, referral, dog lovers. Segment your database. Again, the more specific you can get with somebody, the more specific the messaging is, the better chance you're going to have of them calling you back, right? Like, if I was leaving messages for Candace and they were so generic that I didn't even use her name, I was just like, hey, I saw you were on Zillow yesterday. I'd love to help you out with that property. That doesn't come off the same way as if I had used her name. And if you can use someone's name 3 times on a voicemail, it builds a deeper relationship with that person, even though you didn't talk to them. So think about how you're segmenting your database. Think about what that person's looking for and how you're going to deliver value and talk to that person based on their segment. Like, even just looking at these, you know, the person that's in the military, your first message may be, you know, hey, Jeff, thank you so much for your service. What branch of the military are you with? Because we have different financing programs that can help you get better rates depending on what branch of the military you're in, or whatever. You know what I mean? And it creates a conversation. It makes them want to call you back, and it shows that you're being specific to them, right? You know, if you know someone who has a dog, oh, what kind of dog do you have? And maybe you put them into your database under that breed of dog. So that way, when there's maybe, I don't know, some sort of dog washing event, you let them know about it, and you're providing them value based on their specific hobbies and things like that, right? And you can get as detailed with this as you want, or as macro with this as you want. Like, like, let's put it this way. When I work primarily with sellers, and when I work with sellers, again, I have a different follow-up plan for expireds. That's different from for sale by owners. It's different from golden letters. It's different from my sphere people. It's different from my agent to agent referrals. It's different from my past clients that have referred somebody from me. And then even within those categories, let's say it's an expired, if I can determine what personality type they are of the DISC assessment, you know, the D, the I, the S, the C, if I can figure out what personality type they are, my communication style is going to match that, right? So one of the most recent trainings I was in, they actually taught, does everybody know what the DISC personality assessment is?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I thought was interesting was, one of the most recent trainings I was in, the presenter was saying, Have you ever been told to treat people as you'd like to be treated? To talk to people as you'd like to be talked to? And everybody, of course, was like, yeah, of course we have. And he went on to explain, he's like, how many people in here are a D personality? And I was like, oh, that's me, straight and to the point. Like, let's get this over with. I get too much stuff to do today. Let's boom, 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 boom. Let's nail it out. He's like, great. 18% of people are a D personality. So he's like, 18% of people are a D personality. So if you're a D personality and you're talking to the people the way you would want to be spoken to, your message is not resonating with 72% of or 82% of the other people you're talking to, right? So the way you're talking to somebody is not resonating with them. It's not making them feel heard. It's not whatever. So you have to tailor your questioning and the way you talk to people based on their personalities. So even within my expired scripts, if I figure out they're a D personality, I'm going to ask questions and talk to them a certain way. And if they're an I personality, I'm going to talk to them a different way. And so I have different scripts, different text messages, different emails based on their personality type once I've discovered what their personality type is. Because again, the more tailored I can make my scripts to them, the more they're going to resonate with them and the higher I'm going to convert. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay. So communicate with your segments. Let me just double check. So communicate with your segments. So they say workbook page 67, but mine doesn't read that way. It reads like 6.9. Well, yeah, it's not matching up. Anyway, so communicating with your segment, you can kind of see this is kind of like what we went over: a golf person, an investor, and dog lovers. And you can kind of see the same newsletter goes to all of them, but maybe you customize the section, top section for the golfers, where second one, maybe you do to investors and you kind of tell them the investor stats. The dog lovers one, listing of upcoming low cost vaccinations or things like that. So you're tailoring your message to the person that you're targeting. So this is interesting too. This is kind of showing you what used to be, we used to call this the 33 touch or whatever, but it's kind of showing you how you should be reaching out to past clients, things like that. So you can kind of see, well, you can see the 36 touch over on the right-hand side, but even new leads, 4 touches, quarterly phone call, 12 touches, monthly email, newsletter, market report, video, 2 touches, promotional, direct mail, such as magnet, calendar, whatever, 1 touch, annual event, right? And so what's interesting about these is, well, let me ask, who has a follow-up plan in place for, I mean, I guess at this point, really anybody, but specifically past clients?
I don't have any past clients, but like I guess what I'm trying to like I've lived a few different places and I've got a lot of contacts outside of the area. So my only thing I have set up in my database right now is just kind of a referral farm. So like I have different areas of the country where I have stuff going out like every 6 months to people on like through command. And that's like it's really the only thing I've been able to set up so far.
What made you pick every 6 months?
It's just kind of what I had read and not a ton went into it, but I don't know. Yeah.
What I would probably recommend stepping that up more, just because like I said, it's going to take 9 times for people to hear that you're a real estate agent before they remember that you're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
At 2 times a year, that's going to take 4.5 years. It's going to take a long time. So this is where it's going to get crazy. Having come from a marketing background at a car dealership, my mentality has always been buy or die. I want you to use my service until I'm going to keep marketing to you until you either use my service or you tell me to F off or you tell me that you signed with somebody else. Like, I am just going to keep messaging you and checking in with you in a polite way. And if anybody ever says to stop contacting them, I stop immediately. But let's put it this way. Again, I mainly deal on the listing side. If someone reaches out to me and they're interested in potentially selling, if they're a golden letter, and like I said, 1.5% of them respond, and they respond to me saying, yep, I'm thinking about selling in 12 months. They go into my follow-up plan, and this is not an exaggeration. It is 1,700 touches over the next 5 years. I will text you, I will email you, I will send you mailers until you tell me to stop. And again, some of the messaging is much softer. It's not always list with me, list with me, list with me, list with me. Some of it can be, here's what's going on in the market. Some of it can be, here's what the value of your home is. Here's a funny story of something that happened in real estate recently. Like it can be any of those things, but I mean, 1,700 messages over 5 years. That's what I do, or until they tell me to stop. And like I said, I have numerous examples of people that 30 or 40 messages in, they've never responded. And by the 30 or 40th message, they contact me and go, okay, I'm ready. And man, you have been like checking in with me so often and your messages are so good. I want to use you. Like they don't realize it's automated. They don't realize that it's not me typing that email every time. It's not me sending that text message every time, because my text messages and my emails are so tailored to their situation that they think I'm talking just to them and that's not a generic email. You know what I mean? So just figure out like, and it didn't happen overnight. I started with a 36 touch. I then went up to like a 52 touch, then to 100 touch. And then I said, let's start doing more years. Let's start doing this. So it takes a while to come up with that much content. But it's definitely helps you stay in mind, top of mind with people. All right, what ahas do we have?
I mean, you're dialed in, man. Damn.
What was that?
You're dialed in. Like just I think for me, just hearing you talk and the amount of precision you put into this, that's like, I treat it like a business, but like you got to really step it up. Like yeah, like that's impressive.
The top agents have like the top agents usually have very good systems in place to generate leads, to maintain leads, to stay in constant communication with people. I mean, I won't go into it because I don't know. I don't know if the screen recording will show my screen if I go to it, but last I looked, my CRM last month automatically, I believe, sent out 5,200 emails and 1,400 text messages.
Do you use Command or do you use a different
I use a
CRM?
different CRM.
Okay.
But those 5,200 emails and the 1,400 text messages, they went out even if I was on vacation or whatever. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I was on vacation and all those messages still went out. And my CRM still alerted me when people responded to them. So it just, that level of consistency with my messages and the fact that they're so tailored in and specific to that person makes them want to respond to it. Were you going to say something, Candace?
I was pretty much on par with what Jeff was saying. I was very impressed with what you had to say today, and I love your systems and I love everything that you're doing. And I would really like to get to that level at some point. How long have you been an agent?
I'll be 10 years in April.
Okay, so you're at, I mean, I would hope at that point that I would be I would be established and have my systems in place and be able to achieve something like that. I'm unfortunately still working full time right now, and I'm really trying to step away, but my work is fighting me. And I've just been really busy, and I've got licensed in July, and I haven't really. I've just been doing bits and pieces here and trying to, figure out what business model is going to work best for me. And Ignite's been probably these classes in Ignite, I think, has been the best thing that I've gotten the most from so far out of everything I've done. I mean, all the, the regular classes, the contract stuff, all that's helpful too, but is to hear from other agents is been really, really good. And I've taken a lot from it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. And we're still not done. We still have more stuff to obviously go over here, but the important thing to know about this too is if you're dedicated and you have a plan and you take action on it, all of this can happen way sooner than you think. And what I mean by that is 2 years ago, I didn't send out a single mailer. Not one. This has all been really over the last 2 years that I've really worked on this system and honed it in and made it better and made it better and made it better. So it's really only been the last like 2 years for me that I've really been focusing on this system and making it what it is. So like any of you from now to 2 years from now can be where I'm at. Do you know what I mean? It took me 2 years to get here, and a lot of that was trial and error. So it could be that you guys get there even faster. You know what I mean? And it's the consistency of it. Like last year, I was running this system a little bit, but last year was, I'm trying to think of the PC way to put this, but last year was kind of my F off year. Last year was my year of, I'm going to work the system. I'm going to make a lot of money. And then I'm going to take the next 2 months and go on vacations. And then, oh, my money's going to get a little low. I'm going to work a little harder again. I'm going to build up some money. Now I'm going to go on some more vacations. So last year I did about $9 million in sales while taking 8 vacations. And I took some pretty crazy vacations. I mean, I went to London for the Patriots game. I went to Dallas to watch the Mike Tyson Logan Paul fight, you know, stuff like that. Like, I took a lot of vacations. This year, I finally made the jump and I hired people to consistently run my system for me. And like I said, that's why right now, year to date, I'm at a little over $16 million in pending and closed. So just having the consistency put into this system doubled my business in a year, right? So, and now, quite frankly, I'm at the point where I'm hiring another assistant, which should hopefully help me increase my business even more for next year. You know what I mean? Because I'm at the point now where I'm kind of hitting my bandwidth of like, I don't have enough time to take on more clients. So like, I appreciate what you're hearing about all of these systems and things, but if you stay dedicated and focused on them, you can rebuild the same system in way less time. In fact, my system I shared with one of my friends down in South Carolina, and within a week, she implemented the system. And she told me within the first 3 weeks of implementing the system, she had 10 people reach out to her to list properties with her, 6 of them signed on the spot. And she was like, this is amazing. She's like, I didn't even know about the system 3 weeks ago, and now I have 6 new listings because of it. So it can happen much quicker than you think. So Gary Keller quote here, your job is to build a community and serve the community. So law number 4, service all leads. And I think this is somewhere that a lot of people forget about. Like a lot of people are so focused on how do I generate leads that they stop focusing on following up with people. So like I know a lot of you are kind of newer agents or just trying to get into the business, but have any of you been talking to a potential buyer or seller and then all of a sudden find out that they signed with somebody else? Has that happened to anybody yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because a lot of what we see is a lot of people are so focused on step 1 of creating the lead that they forget to keep following up with the lead. I mean, quite frankly, I fall into that still nowadays. I have somebody that was referred to me about a month and a half ago from another agent looking to spend about $500,000 on a home. I've shown them 2 homes. I've checked in with them twice since then, but quite frankly, I haven't spoken to them in 3 weeks. And that's a failure of me. I should be checking in with that person. That person is ready, willing, and able to buy a property. They were referred to me from another agent, which means that other agent's reputation is on the line because they said that I'm the best agent to help them. And in the last 3 weeks, I haven't checked in with them because I've been too busy. And in my opinion, they're not as motivated as I'd like them to be. Now that can be, again, more limiting beliefs of me thinking they're not ready to buy. But I don't know if I'm not checking in with those people and servicing them correctly. You know what I mean? So you can kind of see here, commands, service all leads, opportunities, campaigns, consumer. So opportunities are obviously where you're adding people into your database, putting them on drip campaigns, trying to cultivate them into an appointment, and then obviously to, getting under contract on something. Campaigns is what's going to help you. I think that's kind of like its auto plans of like setting up the plans of what the follow-up schedule looks like and how often you're following up with them and how you're following up with them. So set up really, really good campaigns, because good campaigns will create great opportunities for you with limited work on your side. So database into smart database into data bank. So this is where, like for me at least, this is where I kind of take my systems and figure out, kind of like I was saying before, if someone is going to sell within 3 months, that's going to be a different campaign than if they're going to sell in 3 to 6 months. And that's going to be a different campaign than if they told me they're going to sell in 6 to 12 months, right? Because it's going to have different messaging, different urgency, different everything. So what are some ways you guys are transforming your database into kind of a smart database and into a data bank?
I don't know that I really have a database yet to speak of. I've plugged in some contacts. I've had a couple of sessions with KT, but I've been working with like 1 to 2 days a week off all summer, and I've only got 1 day off this week. I told them the week after next I really need to chill, but I have contacts in there, and the people that I've put in, I've asked a lot of I started with my coworkers. He challenged me for 50 emails and contacts after our first appointment. So I went in and started with, my 40 coworkers that I have, and I plugged all them into command and got their emails and stuff, but I haven't done anything with it. So that's, another area where I'm just looking for guidance and haven't really done much in that aspect yet.
And that's the first step. The first step is obviously getting them into your database and realizing you need to take action with them, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I found that's really helped me, ChatGPT can do a lot for you. So you could go into ChatGPT and you can say, hey, I'm a brand new real estate agent. I have 40 friends and family that I've added into my database. I need to create a follow-up schedule for those 40 people. What do you recommend? And it'll recommend a follow-up schedule. It'll recommend how often to reach out to people, how to reach out to people. It'll probably provide you with some scripts and things you can say to those people, and then just adding them into your database. Like the contact is already in your database, but adding that follow-up plan in to make it a smart database, which will eventually turn it into a data bank. And again, that's kind of what I have right now. Is I have my database of people. I have my smart database, making sure that it's sending them the right message at the right time. And now it creates a data bank for me where I just sit back and wait for people to respond and say, yep, come list my house. You know what I mean? But the first step is getting started and setting all of that up, because without execution, you're never going to create the business. You know what I mean? You got to have that execution of the contacts are in there. Now, how do I follow up with them, and how do I follow up with them consistently?
I plugged in my phone too, so I sent in like another 200 and something phone numbers out of my cell phone, but there's no emails attached to those.
Yep. And
So
so
I have
that
to
might
reach
be a
out
good,
and
but that might be a
yeah,
good way to reach out to all of those people and just say, you
get
know,
emails.
like, I don't know that I would come out to them and say something like, hey, I'm a brand new real estate agent. I'd like everybody's email addresses to send them marketing stuff
Yeah,
to.
that would make me want to run in the other direction.
Right. So what you might want to do, and a lot of people do this, is maybe run a fun raffle. You know, hey everybody, I'm in real estate now. If you like, here's a Google form to fill out with your name, address, phone number, email address, whatever. Once you input all this information, you'll be entered in to win a Yeti cooler or whatever. And now you have everybody's email addresses, you have everybody's phone numbers, you know the information's accurate because they want to win the prize and they want you to reach out to them if they win the prize. So they're going to make sure to give you correct contact information in case they win, right? But now you've just created all these potential leads, that type of thing. And it doesn't have to be a Yeti cooler. It can be something
Yeah.
small, or it can be whatever. It can be, you know,
restaurant gift cards.
Movie tickets for 4 at the movies or whatever. Like it could be a gift card, it could be whatever, but something of value that's going to make people want to give you their correct info, you know? There are also
Yeah, I
some,
like that.
I was gonna say, there are also some websites out there you can pay for that. If you have the person's name or phone number, it can usually get you some of that info. Like I subscribe to a website. I'm not going to give it out because it's really, really good and I want to keep it for myself. But if I have a street address of a property, it'll show me all the current owners of the property, all the past owners of the property, when the property was purchased, how much it was purchased for, the size of the property, pictures. It'll actually show me how much they owe on their loan. It'll show me their interest rate. It'll show me when they took the loan out, who they took the loan out with, the equity on their property. Of the current owners, if I click on them, it'll show me their names, their phone numbers, their email address, their date of birth. It'll show me where they work. It'll show me other properties that they own, even if they're in like LLCs or trusts or something like that. So, you know, if someone reaches out to me and says, "Hey, Marcus, I want to sell 123 Main Street," I show up and I can go, "Great, I can definitely help you sell 123 Main Street. What about 456 Main Street that I see that you also own?" You know what I mean? Those types of things. So there are websites out there that you can pay for that will help you get that info too, if you do feel awkward asking people for it.
Okay.
All right. So ignite your command with tags. So we kind of touched on this briefly, but you want to have lots of tags and you want to make sure the tags make sense to you. Again, if it doesn't make sense to you, how are you going to utilize that to really impact your business, you know? So you can see here, like temperature, are they hot? Are they warm, cold, sold? Are they farmed? Did you sell them in previous years? You know, that type of thing. Are they a system tag? Like, are they an agent referral, an investor, you know, what have you? That says, oh wait, who will live in the house? Who is the client? So how many kids do they have? What are their names? Blah, blah, blah. They sphere of influence, whatever. Color-coded category. Well, you see here, mailing lists. So, you know, are they out-of-state buyers? Are they an out-of-state seller? You know, whatever. Occupation, what occupation do they work in? What hobbies do they have? And then you can see there at the end, the personality with the DISC assessment that I was talking about. For me, I would say the more tags, the better, because then you can sort people into more specific groups. You know, just because you have, you know, again, for me, I have over 17,000 people in my database, but some of my tags probably only have 12 people in there. You know, maybe it's a very specific niche thing that I know that they're a part of, but then I can still reach out to them. You know, we talked about it before. If they have a dog and there's a, you know, vaccines are on sale or something, I can let them know, hey, you have a dog and this place is offering discounted vaccines. You should go check them out. And you don't want to be sending that to someone who's not a dog owner. You know what I mean? Someone who's a cat owner, for say, and doesn't have a dog, because then it wouldn't make sense to them and doesn't provide them value. But the more you can segment your database, the more specific you can get with your messaging to them. Oh my God, we're back into ahas again. So maybe we are kind of wrapping up then. What other ahas do we have? I feel like we just had ahas.
Like kind of like you said, and I think again it's kind of just reaffirming what I'm already doing, but like getting, you know, when I've had my phone number for 25 years, so I had a ton of people in there. So I think really just like trying to clean up my database first before I start really using it has been a big focus of mine. Like, what's an actual contact? Is that person's number still the same? You know, pulling out some of the places that were like restaurants versus people. You know, just kind of cleaning it up first before I really dig into it.
Okay. Anybody else? I know we just had this, so. No. So again, the 4 laws of the database: build the database, feed it every day, communicate systematically, and service them. So again, for me, building the database, I would start off with, you know, how are we going to set up our tags? How are we going to organize everything? That type of thing. Feeding it. How am I going to lead? You know, Gary Keller says you should lead generate for 3 hours every day. So start asking yourself, what is my lead generation? How am I going to create new leads? to feed my database every day, put new people into my database every day. Because as Tim says, people you're talking to now are paychecks 90 days from now, right? So if I'm not lead generating today, I'm giving up on a paycheck 90 days from today. Do I want to be giving up on a paycheck 90 days from today? Probably not. We're talking getting pretty close to Christmas time 90 days from today. So probably going to need some holiday money for friends and family and those types of things. And then once you're feeding your database, because I know a lot of people that do this, they feed their database, but never communicate with them. So what are you doing to communicate with them? What are you doing to safeguard those people to make sure you're talking to them, even on the days that you're really, really busy and maybe too busy to call them and check in with them? What are you doing to communicate with them? And then servicing the leads, making sure that when you got somebody who's ready, willing, and able to buy and sell homes, that you don't just forget about them, that you don't just, well, I'm so focused on feeding my database that I'm not focused on servicing the people that want to buy with me today. I mean, we talked in the beginning of the call, but if you want to sell 50 houses, technically you only got to talk to 50 people. There's got to be the right 50 people. So don't keep focusing on feeding your database with thousands and thousands of people if you're never going to help them down the funnel to servicing them. Because filling a database when you're never going to service them still results in no money. So trust in your database, follow the 4 laws, don't quit too soon, do the 36 touch campaign with your closed clients, those types of things. It will take time to yield results. I mean, trying to think of my people I have under contract. Well, I have a deal under contract right now in Rye. It's a $1.6 million listing that I have. That lady was a mailer I sent to her last April. So I sent her a mailer last April, and it took over a year for her to respond to me and then have it turn into an appointment and then eventually a listing, and now we're under contract. I just want to make sure too, am I frozen or can you guys hear me okay?
I hear you.
Okay. I just couldn't tell. It looked like it might have been frozen there for a second. Think long term. So think of how you're going to create business long term, not just in the short term. Anybody can create business in the short term. Tomorrow my sister could pop up and be like, hey, Marcus, I want to buy a house, but what are you doing to create consistent business down the road? Feeding that database, communicating with them, and then servicing them. Always come from care and service. So again, that's always coming from value. You're giving them something of value that makes them want to keep coming back to you, keep listening to you, staying top of mind with them, makes them not want to unsubscribe from your emails or unsubscribe from your text messages or stop taking your phone calls, those types of things. The real estate business is a relationship business. So it's build relationships with people because you never know where that's going to take you. I'll give a great example that blew me away. So I have a friend of mine who had a rental property, and probably like 6 years ago, he was moving out of the property he was in and moving in with his now wife, right? And when he was moving in into his wife's home, because it was a little bit bigger, he asked me, what should I do with my current property? And coming from care and service, thinking long term, seeing real estate business as a relationship business, I had a discussion with him and I go, well, you can obviously sell the property or you can rent the property. Do you need the money right now? And he's like, no, I don't need the money. He's like, not something I was even really thinking about. And I'm like, okay, well, if you don't need the money right now, I'd recommend renting it because your rent would pay for the mortgage. The property value would continue to go up. And then eventually down the road, if you did need the money, now you have an even bigger asset you can sell and make more money off. And he's like, well, I've never rented a property before. How do I do that? So I put him in touch with Universal Property Management, who's the management company that I use for my rentals that works right out of our office. He worked with them for 6 years. Everything went well. And then he reached out to me at the beginning of this year and said, Marcus, our tenant's moving out. I think at this point, we don't really want a rental property anymore. So I think we want to sell it. And so I said to him, okay, no problem. Like, I'll definitely help you sell it. I even offered him a reduced commission rate because he is a good friend of mine. So quite frankly, I agreed to list the property for 1% to my side. And he was like, you'd be willing to do that for us? And I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, you're friends of mine. I don't, I want to give you a little bit of a discount, blah, 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 whatever. So I listed his property, sold it within a week. We went under contract and ended up selling. Now, where I get into real estate business is a relationship business is 3 months after that, he reached out to me. And he's like, hey, Marcus, you did such a great job selling my investment property, and we really appreciated that advice you gave us 6 years ago about renting it. My friend is a vice president at Barclays Bank for investing. He's like, one of my investor clients is moving from California to here. I'd like to have him, at least Zoom with you to see if you'd be a good fit to be his agent. And I'm like, oh, sure. So I got on a phone call with him and we kind of went over a bunch of things. And as part of that, I could say to him, hey, Rob, your investor he invests his money for the investor, but I'm like, our buddy Rob that introduced us, I actually sold his house earlier this year. So that put more trust in this potential buyer in me, because the guy referring him to me personally used me earlier this year. Long story short, that investor ended up signing with me. He ended up buying a property in Dover. It was a $3.4 million property. So in addition to that, my negotiated commission rate on the buy side was 3%. I was able to get the seller to pay my 3% commission. So my relationship with my friend Rob and giving him a discount to sell his home was reciprocated back to me in this other person who bought a $3.4 million property at a 3% commission rate. So it was a 6-figure commission check. My first ever 6-figure commission check in my career. And it was just like, wow, like I didn't need to give Rob a discount on listing his house earlier this year, but because I did, it created a better relationship with Rob that created him to refer this guy to me, which helped me make more than enough that I would have made off of Rob. That type of thing. So success system. So daily success system, you can kind of see here, they kind of have an outline here of how, again, the goal is 10 conversations a day, 10 contacts added to your database, 10 handwritten notes sent out, the 10-5-1 social media engagement and enrichments. So I'll tell you that most coaches will tell you it shouldn't be 10 conversations a day. It should really be closer to 20 or 25. But again, this is a good starting point. If you talk to 10 new people every day, if you add 10 new people to your database every day, and you write out 10 handwritten notes to people every day, over time, you will create a pretty big business. So just as a reminder, we talked about it a little bit briefly, but the do not call list, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, if they're on the do not call list, you cannot call them unless they've reached out to you. If they've reached out to you, you do have permission to contact them back for up to a year. So keep that in mind. Like, part of the reason why I mail out my mailers is because if somebody from the do not call list calls me, well, now I have permission to contact them for the next year, right? So I can call them, I can text them, I can email them, I can reach out to them. And that's one way, I don't want to say essentially around the do not call list, because you're not going around it, you're actually following the law. But it's one way to be able to talk to people that many other real estate agents can't talk to. And then Telephone Consumer Protection Act, just make sure you're following TCPA guidelines, make sure you're, if someone puts themselves in the do not call list, that you're not calling them. If they say to stop texting them, that you stop texting them. Make sure that your text messages have an opt-out into them, those types of things. So getting help, obviously, if you need help in command, answers.kw.com to get help. You can also see KT Temple, kind of talk with him and go over things with him in command to kind of get a good idea of how to kind of run these things a little bit better. I don't know whose quoting this is, but I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. So again, coming from contribution, providing value. When you provide enough value to people, they will keep coming back to you. Celebrate successes, and then obviously you're going to prepare for capturing leads with open houses. So, I mean, before we wrap up, is there any other questions or comments or anything? I mean, we got 13 more minutes, so we can leave this as an ask me anything, and you guys can ask me anything, and I can answer questions. I'm an open book, so I don't mind sharing anything. Or is everybody good and wants to go home and take a nap?
I was gonna see if you'd be willing to catch up after this, kind of privately. I
Yeah,
had a
that's fine.
question. Yeah, just a question I'd love to pick your brain on that I don't necessarily want in a recording.
Yeah, just reach out to me. I'm usually best if you like Facebook friend request me and then send me a DM, and then we can kind of connect that way, and then into phone or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm an open book. I like beer, so anybody that wants to buy me a beer, take me out for beer, and I'll teach you stuff.
I'm your Huckleberry. I used to. I owned a craft beer distributor for 7 years.
Oh, nice.
You probably drink my beers that I sold.
I stick to Bud Light and Corona. I'm a pretty boring beer drinker, but
Even better.
yeah, I'm a cheap drunk.
Love it.
Oh, no,
Dominic,
you get a beer that has good, rich flavor to it, like Sam Adams or Pumpkinheads, or
No.
that's my preference if I'm
I love it. Oh, that's funny. I'm good.
Anybody else? I mean, questions? I mean, this is your chance. Ask me anything.
I'm looking you up on Facebook so I can connect, because I too would like to reach out to you, like Jeff would, and maybe you said you're in Dover,
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I'm all over the place.
all over the place.
I physically have an office that I rent in the Dover office. Hold on. Well, hold on. I can tell you. I can't remember them all because I have so many. I know that sounds like a humble brag, but like, hold on. Where is my? Hold on. Like I have listings all over the place. Like let's put it this way. So my current active listings: Claremont, New Hampshire, Rye, Hollis, Maine, Madison, New Hampshire, Windham, New Hampshire, Newfield, Maine, Wakefield, New Hampshire, Littleton, New Hampshire, Epping, New Hampshire, and Norway, Maine. So I think if you took my Norway, Maine listing and went to Claremont, I think that's about a 4-hour drive between the two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's far.
Yeah, I cover a pretty big area. Um,
What states are you licensed in? Are you Maine at all? Are you just New
New
Hampshire?
Hampshire and Maine, yeah. I cover a pretty big area because two reasons. Number one, I feel Jeff Glover, my mentor, has basically said that you should cover an hour to an hour and a half radius of where you live, sometimes 2-hour radius if the market's bad and you're trying to get business and things like that. But for me, I cover a big area because I enjoy real estate. I mean, it's a passion of mine. That's why I got into it. I was a real estate investor for about 8 years before I got into real estate full time, and now I'm even more of an investor. Like I go where the money is, right? So like I have a listing in Norway, Maine right now. It is over 2 hours from my house. It is not a place I would normally go, but somebody I mean, I have the voicemail probably still on my phone. They literally called me and said, I want to list my house with you. Please call me back. And so I did because, okay.
Was it somebody you mailed to, or how did they find you?
It is not somebody I mailed to. I had no idea how this person got my info, and that's why I called them back. And I was like, okay, how did you hear about me? And they were like, oh, you helped my cousin years ago. And I was like, oh, who's your cousin? And they told me a name. And in my head, I went, I don't know who that is, but okay. Long story short, because it's an area that I don't normally service and because it's far away, I don't know that I necessarily, quote unquote, wanted the listing. But I felt like I had to go on the listing appointment because if a past client is referring me to them, I should go. Otherwise, that person's going to stop referring people to me, right? I went there. I did my spiel. Long story short, I walked out of that appointment not only with the listing, but I got them to sign with me for 4% to my side. Now, even longer story. I went there to meet with them that day. I met with them. I saw the house. I signed them. The house is vacant. I had a lockbox in my car. They gave me a spare key. I put the lockbox on the door. So when it came time for photos, I said, here you go, Mr. Photographer. Here's the code. Let yourself in, take photos, send them to me when you're done. I'm not driving the 4 hours round trip. So they did that for me. Listing went live. We were going to have an open house the following weekend, but we didn't make it that far because we started showings right off the bat and got 4 offers and immediately went under contract. The inspection on that property was this past Saturday. Again, it's 4 hours round trip, just drive time for me. I didn't go. When the appraisal comes, I'll probably give the appraiser the code to the lockbox so we can go in and do the appraisal, the same with the 4 hours round trip. So the only times I will ever have been to that property were the day that I met my clients to sign them and the day I go there for the final walkthrough. So 2 round trips, 2 hours each way. And my commission on that deal is a little over $14,000.
Nice.
Right. So just because you're traveling doesn't mean you can't increase your commission rate. Doesn't mean you can't say no to somebody if you feel that the house might be hard to sell or whatever. We're independent contractors that get to set our own individual fees, and we get to decide who we want to take on as clients and who we're not. I mean, I can tell you that just 2 weeks ago, and this is going to probably blow some of your minds, I fired a past client of mine, somebody that I've done transactions with in the past. I fired him 2 weeks ago. He is a little over $1 million buyer that we were actually under contract on a property, but he became verbally abusive with me. And I got to the point where I said, I don't need to take this. I do enough business. I don't care that you're spending over $1 million. You're fired. I am not going to work with you any longer.
You can do that.
Absolutely you can. Absolutely. You don't have to keep working with people. Now, again, mutually, you guys have to both agree on it. But usually if you tell a client, hey, this isn't working out, I'm going to let you pick a new agent. Have good luck. They're going to say, all right, screw you too, type of thing. But yeah, like you get to set your fees and you get to decide who you want to work with. And in his case, even though I know he's an investor and even though I know in the next 5 years, he's going to buy 3 to 5 more $1 million and up properties, I still said no to him because the level of abuse he was giving me was not worth the paycheck, even on multiple future sales. Now, ironically, since then, he has done nothing but sing my praises and want me to still work with him. So it kind of shows you how good I was doing for him that now he's like, ah, shoot, I screwed up. Please still work with me? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good, dude. Have fun. Good luck. So keep that in mind too. Like you don't have to work with everybody that's out there because some people, I mean, this guy in particular, on more than one occasion told me things like, you work for me and what am I paying for? And those types of things do not go over well with me, especially the you work for me. Nope, I work for who I want to work for, so you're now fired. Now, he was much more verbally abusive. There was a lot more cursing and a few threats in there.
And nobody wants to put up with that.
Right. There was a few threats in there that I didn't appreciate. But that's the point in building a big business is so that you can pick and choose who you want to work with, where you want to work, and not have to worry about that paycheck, not have to worry about, hey, if I fire this guy, I'm giving up on a $25,000 commission. It was just, for him, it was not worth my sanity. You know what I mean? But anyway, sorry. What other questions do we have? We got 4 more minutes. If anybody's got anything else that they want to throw in, happy to answer.
Do you do a lot of referral-based business? Do you have like typically that Norway client you were talking about? If you they hadn't reached out to you personally and they kind of found you randomly and they weren't connected to a past client, would you have referred that out to somebody else?
Maybe. I don't know. Because it's not, there's a $350,000 price point, so it wasn't a huge price point, and they're 2 hours from my house. So do I want to travel 2 hours for a $350,000 sale? Probably not. I probably would have referred them out. Well, no, what I actually would have done is I would have, when I was on the phone with them that time and I said, how did you find out about me? And they said, you worked with my cousin. My cousin was once I heard it was one of my past clients, immediately I was like, I don't care if it's 17 hours away. I'm probably going to have to work with this person.
Yeah.
Now, if I had asked them, how did you hear about me? And they said, oh, I found you on Zillow. I probably would have asked a lot more questions before committing to that listing appointment. Okay, well, what made
Okay.
you pick me out of the other agents that are on Zillow? And tell me a little bit more about your property. How much do you think it's worth? Blah, blah, blah. Like I would have asked a lot more questions to figure out, is this going to be worth my time or not? Because I've been on my fair share of appointments even this year that were not worth my time. You know what I mean? Like I talked to a guy earlier this year. His property was probably worth $600,000. And in preparation for meeting with him, I asked him, what do you think your property's worth? And he said, oh, 1.5 million, easy. And I'm like, easy? You're nowhere near $1.5 million. What are you thinking? Like, so that was an appointment I didn't go on because he had unrealistic expectations. And, you know, I had more conversations around him before meeting with him of all my analytics say that you're around 600, maybe 650. And he's like, oh, no way. And I'm like, well, at least we saved ourselves a lot of time. It saved me the time of coming up to meet with you. It saved you the time of meeting with me. Your property will never sell at $1.5 million. You know what I mean? Actually, I had a lady last week yell at me about that. She has 16 acres. Anybody that wants her, have free. Otisfield, Maine, 16 acres of land with a 4-car garage. That's all it is. It's just 16 acres of land with a random metal 4-car garage.
The middle of nowhere.
She thinks it's worth $1 million because, as she put it, Otisfield, Maine is the Beverly Hills of Maine.
I'm pretty
No
sure it's
one-
Cape Elizabeth.
No one has ever referred to Otisfield as the Beverly Hills of Maine. If you're talking the Beverly Hills of Maine, it's probably Portland, maybe York, like that type of thing.
Cape.
Definitely not Otisfield. And I had to kind of walk her back on, okay, you think your 16 acres is worth $1 million? Yeah. Awesome. Do you know what the most expensive piece of land is to sell in Otisfield in the last year? She's like, nope. I'm like, $290,000. You're more than 3 times that amount. And she was like, yeah, but how many acres do they have? I have 16 acres. And I'm like, that's an excellent point. They have 180. So they are literally 10 times, more than 10 times as big as you for less than a third of the price. So you're way overpriced. I'm not going to come meet with you. And I literally spent half an hour with her explaining to her 26 different ways how her pricing is insane. And then it finally ended with well, now I see why people don't use real estate agents because none of you know what you're doing. Okay. Well, you called me and I showed you the numbers. So, okay. Anyway. All right. Well, it's 11 o'clock. So unless you guys got any more questions for me, I will let you go.
I sent you a Facebook DM.
Okay.
Yeah, I reached out on Facebook as well, so I'd like to connect at some point. Today was great. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all your insight. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. Cool.
Enjoyed your little stories at the end too. So thank you.
I get so many stories, so many battle wounds. Oh, God. But anyway. All
I
right.
think anybody who's been in this business for any length of time will have battle stories.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, have a great day.
You too. All right. Bye, guys. And if you need anything, like I said,
Bye.
feel free to reach out with me to me through Facebook.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.